The ship was small. That was the first thing the Galaxy Council noticed when the human vessel entered their space. It was barely larger than a transport shuttle, painted in white and blue with a simple symbol on its side. A circle with a line through it, the universal sign for peace. Ambassador stood at the front window of her ship and looked at the massive station ahead. The council chamber was built inside an asteroid the size of a small moon. Thousands of ships floated around it, ships from 100 different species, ships that could destroy planets, ships that had conquered star systems. Her ship looked like a toy next to them. "Ambassador, we are receiving docking instructions," her pilot said. His name was Dong, a young man with steady hands and calm eyes. He had volunteered for this mission knowing he might not return. "Follow their instructions exactly," said. "We are guests here." The ship moved slowly toward the station, watched the massive defense platforms track their movement. Each platform had enough firepower to turn her ship into dust in less than a second. She knew this. Earth's intelligence had been very clear about the Council's military power. Humanity had discovered faster than light travel only 50 years ago. In that time, they had spread to 12 star systems. They had built colonies on 30 worlds. They had met other species, traded with some, and avoided others. But they had never met the Council. The Galaxy Council was old, older than human civilization. They controlled over 2,000 star systems. They had rules. They had laws. And they had very strong opinions about new species. Its mission was simple: introduce humanity to the Council, ask for trade agreements, show them that humans wanted peace. Earth's leaders believed that friendship was better than war. They had sent their best diplomat to prove it. The ship docked with a soft sound, straightened her uniform. It was simple: black cloth with a small Earth symbol on her chest. No weapons, no armor, just her words and her hope. "Stay with the ship," she told Dong. "If anything happens to me, leave immediately. Tell Earth what you saw." "Ambassador, I should come with you." "No, someone needs to survive. That is an order." Dong nodded slowly. He did not like it, but he understood. Walked through the airlock alone. On the other side, 4 guards waited for her. They were tall creatures with gray skin and 4 arms. Their eyes were black and showed no emotion. They carried weapons that hummed with energy. "Human," one of them said, "follow." They did not greet her. They did not welcome her. They simply turned and walked, expecting her to follow like a pet. Followed, she kept her face calm. She had been warned about they were the most powerful species in the Council. They believed they were superior to all other life forms. To them, a new species like humanity was nothing, less than nothing. The halls of the station were huge. The ceilings were 50 meters high. The walls were covered with images of victories, conquered worlds, defeated enemies, a long history of war and domination. Walked for 20 minutes before reaching the Council chamber. The doors were made of black metal and stood 100 meters tall. They opened slowly, revealing the room beyond. It was a circle. In the center was a small platform where she would stand. Around her, rising up like a stadium, were the seats of the Council. Hundreds of species, thousands of representatives, all of them looking down at the tiny human who had come to speak. At the highest point sat the High Commander. His name he was ancient, even by standards. His gray skin was marked with scars from 1,000 battles. His 4 arms rested on his throne like a king waiting to judge a criminal. Walked to the center platform. She stood straight. She did not show fear. "I am Ambassador of Earth," she said. Her voice was strong and clear. "I come with greetings from humanity. We seek peace. We seek trade. We seek friendship with all species of the Council." Silence. Then laughter. It started with one and spread through the chamber. Other species joined in. They pointed at her. They mocked her. This tiny creature from a tiny species dared to ask for friendship. Raised one of his hands. The laughter stopped immediately. Human, he said, his voice was deep and cold. Your species is young. You have existed for a moment. You control 12 systems. 12. He said the number like it was an insult. The control 800. The council controls thousands. You are nothing. We may be young, said, but we grow fast, we learn, we adapt, and we come in peace. Surely that has value. Value leaned forward. You have nothing we want. Your technology is primitive. Your worlds are small. Your people are weak. The only value you have is as servants, perhaps slaves. Felt anger rise in her chest, but she pushed it down. She was a diplomat. She had trained for this. We will not be slaves, she said calmly. We ask only for respect and fair treatment. We will trade what we have. We will share our culture, our art, our ideas. There is more to civilization than weapons and conquest. More laughter from the chamber. Stood from his throne. He was over 3 meters tall. He walked down the steps toward her, each footstep echoing through the silent chamber. You speak of respect, he said, stopping in front of her. He towered over her small form. Respect is earned. You must show submission to the council. Kneel before me, human, accept your place. Looked up at him. Her heart was beating fast, but her voice did not shake. Humans do not kneel. The chamber went completely silent. His black eyes narrowed. You refuse. I refuse. I am the representative of 8 billion people. I will not kneel for any species. I will stand as an equal or not at all. Stared at her for a long moment. Then he turned to the chamber. You see, he announced, this is why new species must be taught their place. They are arrogant, they are foolish. They do not understand the order of things. He turned back to, we will teach them. He moved faster than she could react. One of his arms shot out and grabbed her throat. He lifted her off the ground like she weighed nothing. She kicked and struggled, but his grip was like stone. This is what happens to species who do not kneel, said to the chamber. Let all who watch remember. The broadcast systems were active. Every world in council space was watching. Millions of screens showed the tiny human woman hanging from this grip. His other hand drew a blade from his belt. It was ceremonial, ancient, used for executions. Earth will learn, he said, or Earth will burn. He drove the blade through his heart. She did not scream. Even at the end, she did not give them that satisfaction. She looked directly into the broadcast camera with her final breath. Her eyes were not afraid. They were sorry, sorry for what was about to happen. Dropped her body to the floor. Send the recording to Earth, he ordered. Let them see what awaits those who refuse the council. On the human ship, Dong watched the screen with tears running down his face. His hands shook as he activated the engines. The ship turned and fled into the darkness of space. He had a message to deliver. And Earth was waiting. The video spread across the galaxy like fire. Every world in council space received it within hours. Billions of beings watched the small human woman refuse to kneel. They watched lift her like a broken doll. They watched her die. The council celebrated. On the crowds gathered in the streets to cheer. Their leaders had shown the galaxy what happens to those who challenge them. Drinks were raised. Songs were sung. The execution of Ambassador was considered a great victory. Other species watched with different feelings. Some felt fear. They remembered when their own people had stood before the council. They remembered kneeling. They remembered surviving because they knew their place. The humans had been foolish. But some watched with curiosity. They saw the look in the human woman's eyes at the end. She was not afraid. She was not broken. She looked almost sad, not for herself but for something else, something coming. Then Earth went silent. For 3 days no human ship moved. No human signal was sent. The 12 systems controlled by humanity simply stopped talking. Their colonies went dark. Their stations went quiet. It was like they had all died at once. The council laughed again. They are afraid, announced. They have seen our power. They are hiding in their little worlds, crying for their dead leader. He ordered his fleet to prepare. In 1 month they would travel to human space. They would conquer each world. They would take the humans as slaves. It would be easy. Humanity had no real military. Their ships were small. Their weapons were weak. They were just children playing at being a civilization. But Admiral Sung Park was not crying. He sat in his command chair deep inside Earth's moon. The base had been built in secret 20 years ago. It was buried under kilometers of rock. It did not exist in any official record. Only 200 people in all of humanity knew about it. Sung was 63 years old. He had gray hair and a face marked by years of hard choices. He had fought in 3 wars before humanity reached the stars. He had seen what happened when civilizations underestimated each other. That was why Protocol 7 existed. When humanity first discovered faster-than-light travel, they also discovered they were not alone. They learned about the Council. They learned about 1,000 species who had either submitted or been destroyed. Earth's leaders had hoped for peace. They truly did, but they were not stupid. They had survived thousands of years of war with each other. They knew that hope was not a strategy. So while diplomats smiled and offered friendship, others worked in secret. They built ships, not trade ships, not exploration ships, warships, ships designed for one purpose only: the complete destruction of any enemy who threatened human survival. Sung watched the video of execution for the 100th time. He had known her. They had been friends for 30 years. She had believed in peace. She had believed that words could change the galaxy. She had been wrong. "Admiral," a voice said behind him. It was Commander. She was young, only 35, but she was the best tactical mind in the fleet. "All ships report ready. Protocol 7 is fully active." "How many ships do we have?" Sung asked. 800 capital ships, 12,000 support vessels, all equipped with weapons the Council has never seen. 800 ships. The Council thought humanity had 50, old ships, weak ships. That was what the intelligence reports said. That was what the spies had told them. They had no idea. For 50 years, humanity had played the fool. They had shown the galaxy small ships and primitive weapons. They had pretended to be children stumbling through space. Every time an alien spy tried to learn about human military power, they found exactly what the Council expected to find: weakness. It was all a lie. The real fleet was hidden in places no one would think to look: inside asteroids, behind gas giants, in the dark spaces between stars, waiting, always waiting. "What about the new weapons?" Sung asked. "Tested and ready. The singularity missiles can destroy a planet in minutes. The quantum cannons can cut through any known shield. The ghost drives make our ships invisible to all Council sensors." Sung nodded slowly. These weapons had been built in secret by humanity's best minds. They had studied Council technology for decades. They had found every weakness. They had designed weapons specifically to exploit those weaknesses. The Council thought they were fighting children. They were about to learn the truth. "What are our orders, Admiral?" asked. Sung stood from his chair. He walked to the window of his command center. Outside, through the rock of the moon, he could imagine Earth, blue and green and beautiful. 8 billion people lived there. 8 billion people who had just watched their ambassador murdered on live broadcast. They were angry. He could feel their anger even from here. Humanity had sent a messenger of peace, and that messenger had been killed like an animal. The Council expected humanity to surrender. They expected fear. They expected begging. They did not understand humans at all. "Begin the awakening," Sung said. "Send the signal to all hidden fleets. In 3 days we move." "And our message to the Council?" Sung turned to face her. His eyes were cold. "No message, no warning, no demands. They had their chance for words. Ambassador offered them peace. They answered with blood. Now we answer the same way. Saluted, understood, Admiral. She left to carry out the orders. Sung remained at the window. He thought about her last words, about her refusal to kneel. Humans do not kneel. She had said it knowing she would die. She had said it because it was true. Throughout all of human history, even in their darkest moments, humans had always chosen death over slavery. They had fought against every tyrant. They had resisted every conqueror. It was in their blood, in their bones, in their souls. The Council saw this as pride, as arrogance. They did not understand that it was something else entirely. Humans did not kneel because they could not. It was not a choice. It was who they were. And when someone threatened what humans loved, they did not hide. They did not cry. They did not surrender. They fought back. Sung pulled out a small photograph from his pocket. It showed him and at her graduation from the Diplomatic Academy. She was smiling, young, full of hope. She had believed she could change the galaxy with words. "I am sorry, old friend," he whispered. "Your way did not work. Now we try mine." He put the photograph away and turned to his command console. His fingers moved across the controls. Screens lit up showing fleets awakening across human space. Ships that had been sleeping for decades came to life. Engines that had never fired began to burn. The silence was ending. On the Council worlds, sensors picked up nothing. They saw empty space where human colonies had gone dark. They saw no movement, no threat. They were not looking in the right places. In the darkness between stars, 800 warships turned their weapons toward Council space. 12,000 support vessels loaded their weapons. Millions of human soldiers checked their equipment and prepared for war. Dong had delivered his message. Earth had seen the video, and now Earth had made its choice. The silence was not fear. It was the moment before the storm. Commander stood on the bridge of the Vengeance. It was humanity's largest warship, 3 kilometers of metal, weapons, and fury. The Council had never seen anything like it. They did not even know it existed. "All ships report ready," her tactical officer said. His name was Sung Jin, a quiet man who had spent his entire career preparing for this moment. "We are in position." Looked at the main screen. It showed the blackness of space, empty, silent, but she knew what was hiding in that darkness. Around her, invisible to all sensors, waited 400 warships. Each one was loaded with weapons that would change the galaxy forever. They were positioned near the border, just outside Council space, waiting. "What is the status of the Second Fleet?" asked. Admiral Park reports they are in position near the sector. The Third Fleet is approaching the. All fleets await your signal. 3 fleets, 800 ships total, the largest military operation in human history, and it would all begin in the next few minutes. Had joined the military when she was 18. She had always known about Protocol 7. She had trained for it, planned for it. Part of her had hoped it would never be needed. Humanity could have lived in peace. They could have traded and grown and explored the galaxy without violence. But the Council had made that impossible. She had watched the video of Ambassador's execution like everyone else. She had seen the look on his face, the calm acceptance, the quiet defiance, had known what her death would start. She had accepted it anyway. Now it was job to finish what had begun. "Open a channel to all ships," she ordered. "Channel open, Commander." Straightened her uniform. She knew millions of human soldiers were listening. They were nervous, scared, ready just like her. "This is Commander," she said. "In a few minutes we will begin Operation Reckoning. Many of you have trained your entire lives for this moment. Many of you have families back on Earth. I will not lie to you. Some of us will not return." She paused, letting the words sink in. "But we did not start this war. We sent a message of peace. We offered friendship, and they answered by murdering our ambassador in front of the entire galaxy. They laughed. They celebrated. They think we are weak. They think we are afraid." Her voice grew harder. They are wrong. Today we show them what humans are capable of. Today we remind the galaxy why our ancestors survived ice ages and plagues and world wars. Today we teach them a lesson they will never forget. Humans do not kneel, and when you hurt us, we hurt you back 1,000 times worse. She took a breath. For Ambassador, for Earth, for humanity, begin the attack. Across the darkness of space, 400 ships suddenly appeared, their ghost drives deactivated, their weapons powered up. To the Council sensors, it was like a wall of fire had erupted from nothing. The first outpost never saw them coming. One moment it was floating peacefully in space. The next moment it was dust. The Singularity missiles hit it with the force of a small sun. There was no battle, no exchange of fire, just instant destruction. The same thing happened at 12 other outposts across space. Each one was destroyed in seconds. The Council Defense Network went crazy with alerts. Sensors showed impossible readings, ships that should not exist, weapons that understanding was in his palace when the first reports arrived. He was eating dinner with his generals, celebrating their victory over the humans. "High Commander," an officer said, rushing into the room, "we are under attack." Laughed. Under attack by whom? "The humans, sir." The laughter stopped. "Impossible, they have no fleet, they have no weapons. Our spies confirmed this." "Sir, 13 outposts have been destroyed. Our border defenses are gone. There are reports of hundreds of unknown ships entering our space." Stood slowly, his forearms trembled with rage. "Show me." The officer activated a holographic display. It showed a map of space. Red dots marked destroyed outposts. Blue dots showed the human fleets advancing. There were so many blue dots. "This cannot be," whispered. "Where did these ships come from?" No one had an answer. On the Vengeance watched the battle unfold on her tactical display. Everything was going according to plan. The first wave had cleared the border defenses. The second wave was moving toward the shipyards. The third wave was approaching the "Commander, they are scrambling their main fleet," Sungjin reported. 2,000 ships are moving to intercept us." "Good," said, "let them come, activate the quantum cannons." The fleet arrived an hour later. They were the pride of the Council. 2,000 of the most powerful warships in the galaxy. Ships that had conquered hundreds of species. Ships that had never lost a battle. They attacked with everything they had: missiles, energy beams, nuclear weapons. The firepower would have destroyed a small planet. The human shields held. Council technology was old, powerful but old. It had not changed in thousands of years because there had been no need. No one could challenge them. No one could threaten them. Humanity had studied this technology for 50 years. They had found every flaw. They had designed their shields specifically to resist Council weapons. The attacks hit and did nothing. Then the humans fired back. The quantum cannons were nightmares made real. They did not just destroy ships. They unmade them. They tore apart the very fabric of matter. Warships simply stopped existing where the beams touched them. In 30 minutes, the fleet was reduced by half. In an hour, only 300 ships remained. They tried to retreat, but the human ships were faster. Their ghost drives allowed them to appear anywhere, strike, and vanish. It was not a battle, it was an execution. Across Council space, the news spread like wildfire. The humans were not weak. The humans were not afraid. The humans had been lying the entire time, and now they were coming. On Earth, people watched the battle reports with grim satisfaction. They had seen their ambassador murdered. They had been mocked and insulted. Now they watched their enemies burn. Dong was among them. He had delivered the message from Ambassador. He had told Earth what happened. And now he watched from a viewing station as the Vengeance destroyed another ship. "This is for you, Ambassador," he whispered. On the watched his empire crumble. In 3 days, Humans had done what no species had accomplished in 10,000 years. They had broken the military. "What do we do?" his generals asked. "How do we stop them?" Had no answer. He had thought humans were insects. He had killed their ambassador to teach them a lesson. He had expected them to submit. He had been so wrong. The humans were not insects. They were something far worse. They were a species that had spent their entire existence fighting nature, fighting disease, fighting each other. They had turned violence into an art form, and now all that violence was pointed at him. On the bridge of the Vengeance, received a new message from Admiral Park. "Phase 2 is complete," she announced to her crew. "All military bases are destroyed. Their fleet is broken. We move to the next phase." "What are our targets?" Sung-Jin asked. Brought up a new map. It showed the council chamber, the place where Ambassador had died. "We are going to pay them a visit," she said, "and we are going to remind them what happens when you kill a human." The fleet turned toward the heart of council space, 800 ships moving as one. Behind them, the wreckage of the Navy floated in the darkness. The awakening was complete. Now came the reckoning. The burned. From orbit, Captain Jinho Lee watched the fire spread across the planet's surface. Not cities, not civilian areas. The humans had been very careful about that. Only military bases, only weapons factories, only the places where war was made. Still, it was a terrible sight. A world that had ruled the galaxy for 10,000 years was now helpless. Their fleets were destroyed. Their defenses were gone. They could only watch as human ships circled their planet like predators. Jinho was 51 years old. He had spent 30 years in the military. He had never wanted to see war. He had hoped humanity would find its place in the galaxy through peace, but the Council had made that impossible. Now he had a job to do. "Captain, we are receiving a transmission from the planet's surface," his communications officer said. "It is High Commander. He wishes to negotiate." Jinho felt cold anger rise in his chest. The one who had killed Ambassador, the one who had laughed while murdering a messenger of peace. "Put him through," Jinho said. The screen flickered and his face appeared. He looked different now. The arrogance was gone. His 4 arms hung at his sides. His black eyes showed something they had never shown before. "Fear." "Human Commander," said. His voice was weak. "I wish to discuss terms of surrender." "Surrender?" Jinho raised an eyebrow. "You destroyed your chance for surrender when you killed our ambassador. She came with words of peace. You answered with a blade." I did what was necessary. Your species needed to learn its place. I was following our traditions." "Your traditions allowed you to murder a diplomat on live broadcast, to laugh while you did it, to threaten our children and our worlds." Was silent. "We did not come here to accept your surrender," Jinho continued. "We came here to deliver justice. Every person who was involved in Ambassador's execution will answer for their crimes. Every leader who approved it, every guard who watched and did nothing. You will hand them over to us." "And if I refuse?" Jinho smiled. It was not a kind smile. "Then we continue. We have destroyed your military. We can destroy your cities just as easily. We do not want to kill civilians. We are not monsters like you. But if you force us to choose between justice and mercy, we will choose justice every time." Stared at him through the screen. His hands trembled. "You cannot do this. The Council will not allow it. Other species will come to our defense." "Will they?" Jinho leaned forward. "Have you looked at your communications lately? Do you know what is happening across Council space?" The answer was no. Had been too focused on his own world to see the bigger picture. While the main fleet attacked, the smaller forces had visited every Council species. They had not attacked. They had simply appeared, hundreds of human warships above each, silent, waiting. And with them came a message. "Humans do not seek war with you. We only want justice for our murdered ambassador. Stand aside and no harm will come to your people. Interfere and you will share this fate. One by one, the council species made their choice. The trading species with no military immediately declared neutrality. The ancient warriors who respected strength announced they would not help all of them stepped back. They had ruled through fear. They had never made true allies, only subjects, only servants. Now when they needed help, no one came. You see, Jinho said, you are alone. Your council has abandoned you. They have seen what we can do. They have chosen survival. His face twisted with rage. Cowards, all of them cowards. No, they are practical. Something you should have been when our ambassador offered peace. A long silence passed. Finally spoke. What are your exact terms? Every person involved in the execution will be handed over to human custody. They will face trial for murder. If found guilty, they will face human justice. Additionally, they will pay compensation to ambassador's family. You will publicly apologize to Earth, and you will sign a treaty promising to never threaten human space again. And if I agree to all this, then we leave. We take our ships and go home. Your world survives. Your people live. You can rebuild. Consider this. His empire was in ruins. His military was gone. He had two choices: accept humiliation or accept destruction. I need time to consult with my council, he said. You have 1 hour. The screen went dark. Jinho turned to his crew. They had been listening silently. Their faces showed the same cold determination that had carried humanity through this war. Do you think they will agree? His first officer asked. Her name was Bai, a brilliant strategist who had planned most of the assault. They have no choice, Jinho said. Is proud, but he is not stupid. He knows we can destroy his entire civilization if we want to. He will surrender. And if he does not? Jinho looked at the burning planet below. Then we show them what Protocol 7 was really designed for. We have weapons that have not been used yet. Weapons that can crack a planet in half. We do not want to use them. We are not genocidal maniacs. But if they force us to choose between their survival and human survival, there is no choice at all. The hour passed slowly. On the ships, soldiers waited. On Earth, billions watched through broadcast cameras. The entire galaxy held its breath. Finally, the communication screen activated again. Appeared. Behind him stood a group of. Jinho recognized them from the execution video. Guards, advisors, the ones who had watched and done nothing while an innocent woman died. We accept your terms, said. The words seemed to cause him physical pain. These are the ones you want. The ones who participated in the execution. I am also surrendering myself. Jinho had not expected that. You are surrendering yourself. I gave the order. I held the blade. If there is justice to be served, it should start with me. For a moment, Jinho felt something he had not expected. Respect was a monster. He had murdered an innocent woman, but he was at least willing to face the consequences of his actions. Very well, Jinho said. Prepare your prisoners for transport. Human ships will arrive to collect them within the hour. What will happen to them? Asked. They will face trial, a fair trial, with judges and lawyers and evidence. We are not like you. We do not execute people without giving them a chance to speak. If they are found guilty, they will be punished according to human law. If they are innocent, they will be released. Laughed bitterly. You offer us more fairness than we offered your ambassador. Yes, we do, because that is the difference between us. We are better than you. Not because we have better weapons, because we have better values. Remember that. The transmission ended. Across the fleet, soldiers cheered. The war was effectively over. They had surrendered. Justice would be served. Earth had won. But Jinho did not celebrate. He stood at the window of his ship and looked at the damaged world below. Thousands had died in this war. Soldiers who were just following orders. Human pilots who would never see their families again. All because one arrogant fool thought he could murder a diplomat without consequences. Captain Bai said softly, "Are you all right?" "I am thinking about Ambassador," Jinho replied. "She believed in peace. She believed we could change the galaxy with words instead of weapons. She died for that belief. Her death started this war." "Yes, but I wonder what she would think if she saw us now. Would she be proud, or would she be sad?" Bai considered the question. "I think she would be both," she finally said. "Sad that peace was not possible, but proud that we fought for justice instead of revenge." Jinho nodded slowly. That was the difference. Revenge would have meant destroying them completely, killing every last one of them. That was what they deserved. But humans had chosen justice instead. Trials, fairness, mercy for the innocent. It was harder. It took longer. It meant letting some guilty people live. But it was right. And that was what mattered most. The trials lasted 3 months. They were held on Earth, in a special court built for the occasion. Every species in the galaxy was invited to send observers. Thousands came. They watched as defendants faced human judges. They watched evidence presented. They watched defense lawyers argue and prosecutors respond. It was nothing like council justice. In the council, accused criminals were simply executed. There was no debate, no defense, no chance to prove innocence. The powerful decided who was guilty, and that was the end of it. Human justice was different. It was slow. It was complicated. It gave even the worst criminals a chance to speak. Some of the alien observers thought this was weakness. They did not understand why humans wasted time on such things. Admiral Sung Park understood. He watched the trials from the back of the courtroom, dressed in civilian clothes. He had retired from the military after the war. His work was done. Now he was just an old man watching history unfold. Was found guilty of murder. There was no doubt about his guilt. He had confessed. He had done it on live broadcast, but the trial still followed every rule, every procedure, every protection that human law provided. When the verdict was announced, stood still. He had expected death. In culture, that was the only possible punishment for such a crime. The judge gave him life in prison. "You will spend the rest of your existence thinking about what you have done," the judge said. "Every day you will wake up knowing that you murdered an innocent woman. Every night you will remember her face. Death would be easier, but you do not deserve easy." Said nothing. He simply nodded and allowed the guards to take him away. The other defendants received various sentences. Some were found guilty. Some were found innocent. The guards who had held Ambassador were convicted. The advisors who had approved the execution were convicted. But those who had simply watched, who had no power to stop it, were released. Justice, not revenge. When the trials ended, something strange happened. No one expected it, certainly not the Council. Humanity left. The human fleets from Council space. They returned to their 12 systems. They closed their borders. They did not demand territory. They did not demand tribute. They did not try to rule the galaxy. The ambassador was confused. She visited Earth to ask why. Commander, now promoted to Admiral, received her in the reception hall of Earth's government building. "I do not understand," they said. Her name was a small creature with golden skin and large eyes. "You have the most powerful military in the galaxy. You could conquer us all. Why do you not?" Smiled, "Why would we want to? Power, resources, territory, these are the things all species desire. Not us. We have 12 systems, 30 worlds. That is enough for our people. We do not need more." Was silent for a moment. "Then why did you build such weapons? Why did you hide such power?" "Because we knew species like thee existed. We hoped we would never meet them. We hoped we could live in peace. But we prepared for the worst, just in case. When your species has survived as many wars as ours, you learn to be careful. And now, what do you want from the galaxy?" thought about the question. She thought about Ambassador, who had wanted friendship. She thought about Admiral Park, who had wanted safety. She thought about the 8 billion humans who had watched their representative murdered and demanded justice. "We want to be left alone," she finally said. "We do not want to rule you. We do not want to fight you. We simply want to exist in peace. If other species respect our borders and treat our people fairly, we will do the same. That is all. And if someone threatens you again, if another species decides to test your strength." His eyes grew cold, just for a moment, just enough for to understand. "Then they will learn the same lesson they learned. We do not start wars, but we finish them." Nodded slowly, she understood now. Humanity was not weak. They were not peaceful because they could not fight. They were peaceful because they chose to be, and that choice could change at any moment. "I will take your message to the Council," said. "I will tell them that humans wish to be left alone." "Thank you, and one more thing." "Yes. We forgive many things, insults, misunderstandings, even small conflicts, but there is one thing we never forgive. Never forget what happened to Ambassador. Never forget what we did in response. If anyone ever harms a human child, a human innocent, a human who offers peace, the response will be the same. Worse, even. Make sure the Council understands this." Left Earth with the message. She delivered it to every species in the galaxy. Some laughed at first. They thought humans were bluffing. They thought the war with the was a fluke. Then they looked at the shattered remains of their fleet, at the prisoners in human custody. They stopped laughing. A new order emerged in the galaxy, not an order ruled by humanity. They did not want that, but an order where humanity was respected, where human ships could travel freely without fear, where human traders were treated fairly, where human diplomats were listened to. Because everyone remembered what happened when they were not. Years passed, decades, centuries. Humanity spread further into the galaxy. They made friends with some species. They traded with others. They explored new worlds and discovered new wonders. But they never forgot. On Earth, a statue stood in the capital city. It showed Ambassador, standing tall with her hand extended in friendship. Below the statue, words were carved in 100 languages. "She came with peace. They answered with blood. We answered with fire. May we never need to again." Every human child learned her story. They learned about a woman who believed in words over weapons. They learned about her courage in the face of death. They learned about her final message to the galaxy. Humans do not kneel. And they learned something else too, something that and the Council had never understood. Humans were dangerous not because they were violent. Violence was common in the galaxy. Many species were violent. Humans were dangerous because they could be kind. They could offer peace to their enemies. They could show mercy to the defeated. They could build instead of destroy. But if you hurt them, if you murdered their innocent, if you laughed at their suffering, then you discovered the other side of humanity, the side that had survived ice ages and plagues and world wars, the side that had fought against every darkness and won, the side that would burn the galaxy to ashes before it let its children be harmed. The Council learned this lesson. They never forgot it. And in the quiet corners of the galaxy, where old species whispered about ancient times, they told stories about the humans, about the small species from a small world who had hidden their true power, about the ambassador who died standing, about the war that followed. They called it the Reckoning, and they prayed they would never see another one. On Earth, Admiral Park lived his final years in peace. He visited Ambassador's grave every year on the anniversary of her death. He placed flowers on the stone and spoke to her quietly. "We did it," he told her. "We showed them what we could be, the good and the bad, the peace and the war. I hope, wherever you are, that you understand." He died at the age of 93, surrounded by family. His last words were simple. "Tell I will see her soon." The galaxy moved on. New species rose and fell. New conflicts emerged and ended, but the humans remained, quiet, peaceful, always willing to talk first, but always ready to fight if they had to. Because that was who they were. And the galaxy would never forget it.